For 12 years, her husband, Marcus Holloway, convinced her she was a failure. Useless, broken. Until on a chilly November night, when she had lost everything, a widowed father of 5, Liam Thompson, found her alone on a park bench. And he chose her. This is the story of a woman who believed her life was over, of a family devastated by grief, and how sometimes the person you save ends up saving you. Before we continue, tell us where in the world you're joining us from. We always love to know how far our stories travel. Liam Thompson gripped the steering wheel tightly, his knuckles white against the leather. The clock on the dashboard read 21:47 late. Again. His accountancy firm in Manchester city centre needed those reports yesterday, and another slip-up like this could cost him his job. Meanwhile, his 5 children, all 6 years old, were with Mrs. Higgins, their neighbour. She was an angel, but he could hear the tiredness in her voice on the phone and knew that precious help couldn't last forever. He couldn't go on like this. The streetlights cast long shadows on the tarmac as Liam turned onto Elm Close, and that's when he saw her. A woman huddled on a park bench near the bus stop in Didsbury Park, shivering in the November cold. Her blonde hair caught the orange glow of the street lamp, and even from a distance, he saw the obvious. She had nothing. No coat, no bag. Just the thin dress she was wearing. He should have driven on. His own problems were enough. But his foot hit the brake before reason could protest. Liam pulled over, leaving the engine running. The icy air bit at his face. "Are you all right, love?" Her head shot up, and what he saw was fear. A pure, primal fear that made him take a step back instinctively, hands raised. "I won't hurt you," he said quickly. "It's just, you're shaking. It's freezing out here." Up close, the details were clearer. Early 30s, straight blonde hair falling over her shoulders, and her eyes, hazel but haunted, fixed on him with a mix of suspicion and desperation. "I'm fine," she whispered, her voice failing on the word. "No, you're not," he replied, keeping his voice gentle and his distance. "When was the last time you ate?" She didn't answer. Her gaze dropped to her own hands, and that's when Liam noticed the marks on her wrists. Bruises that told a story he didn't need to hear to understand. Something clenched inside him. "Look, I don't want your life story, but the temperature will plummet tonight. There's a local cafe 2 streets away. Let me buy you a meal at least. I can't pay you back. I'm not asking you to." Eleanor Vance looked up at the stranger, this tired-looking man with kind brown eyes and worry lines on his forehead, and felt something she hadn't felt in months. Hope. Fragile, small, but real. "Why?" she asked. Liam ran a hand through his short brown hair, the puff of his breath turning to smoke in the cold air. "Because one day someone helped me when I needed it. Because you look like you need it now. And because..." He paused, his expression softening. "I'd want someone to do the same if it was someone I cared about sitting here alone." Eleanor slowly stood up, her legs stiff after hours of sitting. She swayed slightly, and Liam instinctively reached out to steady her, but stopped when she flinched. "Sorry. I've got 5 children at home. The habit of catching people before they fall." 5. Surprise colored her voice despite everything. "Quintuplets." His smile was tired but genuine. "It's chaos. Beautiful, utter chaos." They walked to the car, and Eleanor hesitated by the passenger door. "I promise I'm not a serial killer," Liam said with a half smile. "But if you'd rather, I can just give you the money for the cafe." But Eleanor was already opening the door. What did she have to lose? She had already lost everything. The cafe was almost empty, save for an older couple in a corner and a waitress who seemed to be counting down the seconds until her shift ended. Liam ordered a coffee and a burger for himself, then looked at Eleanor. "Order whatever you like." She asked for soup and bread. Her stomach was too churned up to handle anything heavier. When the waitress left, an uncomfortable silence settled between them. "I'm Liam Thompson." "Eleanor." She didn't offer her surname. It belonged to her old life, one she desperately wanted to leave behind. "So, Eleanor," Liam cupped his hands around his coffee mug, "are you from around here?" "No. I arrived today." It was the honest truth. She had taken a bus as far as the money she had allowed, ending up in this unfamiliar part of Manchester. a place she'd never heard of. Hours later, she'd been mugged, leaving her with only the clothes on her back and the one thing she'd kept in her pocket, a small medallion from her mother. "Do you have somewhere to stay?" Eleanor's silence was answer enough. Liam studied her for a long moment. He was good at reading people. He had to be. With 5 children, each with their own way of hiding their pain, he knew how to recognize a flight. This woman was running from something or someone. The bruises, the fear in her eyes, the way she sat facing the exit. It all told the same story. The sensible thing would be to offer money for a hotel. The smarter, safer thing to do. Instead, he heard himself say, "I have a guest room." Eleanor's head snapped up. "What? I'm serious." Even as the words came out, Liam wondered if he'd lost his mind. "It's not much, and my house is, well, like I said, it's chaos, but it's a warm, safe place and you'd have a roof over your head." "You don't even know me." "No," Liam admitted, "but I know what it feels like to be drowning, and I know what it's like to be thrown a lifeline." He met her eyes. "I'm not expecting anything in return. You can leave whenever you want, but right now you need help, and I'm offering it." Eleanor felt the burn of tears. After Marcus's years of cruelty, master's marriage, a stranger offered selfless kindness. "Why would you do that? You have children. You know nothing about me." Liam took a sip of coffee, carefully choosing his words. 2 years ago, my wife passed away. Cancer. She left me with 5 6-year-olds who'd just watched their mum fade away. His voice was steady, but Eleanor heard the pain beneath it. "I've been drowning. My boss gave me a final warning for constant lateness. Childminders don't last 2 weeks. And to make matters worse, my neighbor who helps me, Mrs. Higgins, is elderly and warned she won't carry on much longer." He looked at her directly. "To be honest, I'm barely keeping my head above water. My children are struggling, reacting to their loss, and I don't know how to help them anymore." Eleanor understood instantly. "So, you're not just offering me help. You're hoping I might be able to help you." "I am being selfish, yes, but what I said is true. You need a place to stay. I have one. No pressure. If you just want to rest and leave tomorrow, that's fine. But if you're looking for something more, I could use help with the children for board and lodging." It wasn't charity, it was a transaction, which somehow made it easier to accept. "I've never looked after children before," Eleanor said quietly. "Have you ever been in the thick of chaos?" Despite everything, a small smile touched her lips. "Yes, I have." "Then you're already qualified." Liam's modest, semi-detached home on Elm Close had toys littering the front lawn. A deflated football, a pink bicycle on its side, chalk drawings covering the driveway. "Sorry about the mess," Liam said as he unlocked the door. "I gave up on perfection about 2 years ago." The interior was even worse. Dishes piled in the sink, backpacks and shoes strewn across the living room, drawings haphazardly stuck to the walls. Yet amidst the chaos, Eleanor saw remnants of love. Framed photos of 5 smiling children, a handmade "Best Dad in the World" card on the fridge, a worn teddy bear nestled on the sofa. This wasn't neglect, it was survival. "Mrs. Higgins must have put them to bed," Liam said, checking the clock, well past 10. "I'll show you to the guest room. Bathrooms down the hall." Exhausted, he sighed. "Not much food, but make yourself at home. I'm on a tightrope at work with the lateness, and Mrs. Higgins can't always manage to help out now." Liam guided her upstairs, past closed doors where the soft sounds of sleeping children could be heard, to a small room. It was simple, with a bed, a chest of drawers, and a window overlooking the garden, but it was clean and warm. For Eleanor, it felt like paradise. "Thank you," she whispered. "You have no idea what this means." Liam paused at the door. "Get some rest. Tomorrow will be noisy. 5 8-year-olds wake up like alarm clocks at 6 a.m. After he left, Eleanor sat on the edge of the bed and finally let the tears fall. For the first time in 12 years, she spent a night with a man who hadn't hurt her, humiliated her, or made her feel worthless. For the first time since she was 19, she felt that maybe, just maybe, she could breathe again. Dawn exploded with the sound of little feet and loud voices. Eleanor woke with a jolt, disoriented, her heart pounding. For one horrible instant, she thought she was back in Marcus's house, expecting him to burst into the room with accusations. Then she remembered. She was safe. She was in Liam's house, wearing the same clothes from the day before, the only ones she owned. She went downstairs, following the sounds of pandemonium. The kitchen was a war zone. 5 children, 3 boys with short brown hair and 2 girls with long curls, spoke at once while Liam tried to make breakfast. He was burning the scrambled eggs while trying to break up an argument over who would use the blue bowl. Alfie used it yesterday. No, I didn't. Harry did. Finn spilled milk on it. That doesn't count. Daisy, stop pulling Lily's hair. She started it. It was then that Liam saw her, standing in the kitchen doorway. Relief washed over his face. Good morning, he said over the din. Welcome to breakfast. 5 pairs of eyes turned to her. The room fell silent. Eleanor felt her breath catch. The children were beautiful, all with their father's same grey-brown eyes, but with expressions ranging from curiosity to suspicion. Who are you? Asked Alfie, the tallest, with his arms crossed defensively. Children, this is Eleanor, Liam said. She's going to stay with us for a while. She's going to help around the house. Like the other nannies? Daisy's voice was sharp, a challenge. They all leave. I'm not a nanny, Eleanor said, her voice quiet. I'm just someone who needed somewhere to stay. Your dad was kind enough to help me. Why? Harry was direct, suspicious. Harry, Liam warned. It's all right. Eleanor looked at the boy. Because I had nowhere to go and your dad is a good person. Are you sad? Asked Lily, the quieter of the girls, tilting her head. The question caught her off guard. Children see what adults try to hide. Yes, Eleanor answered truthfully. I am. But I'm trying not to be. Our mum died, Finn informed her matter-of-factly. That made us sad too. Finn, Alfie's voice was sharp, protective. Liam's expression tightened, but he didn't correct them. It was their way of processing, seeking connection in shared grief. I'm so sorry about your mum, Eleanor said gently. It must be incredibly hard. You're not her, Daisy shot back, her voice cutting. Don't try to be... Liam began, but was cut off. I don't want to be her, Eleanor said, her voice firm yet gentle. I couldn't, even if I tried. Your mum was special and no one can replace her. I'm just Eleanor, that's all. Something in Daisy's expression shifted, the hard barrier cracking slightly. Liam cleared his throat. Right, everyone, finish getting ready. The bus is here in 20 minutes, and half of you aren't even dressed. The children scattered like startled birds, leaving Liam and Eleanor alone in the kitchen. Sorry about that, Liam said, tipping the burnt eggs into the bin. His voice carried an immense weight. They're protective of their mum's memory, and with Mrs. Higgins saying she can't help much longer, I simply can't risk another late start at work. They shouldn't trust me, Eleanor replied. They don't even know me. But you were honest. That's more than most people offer them. He started cracking fresh eggs into a bowl. You don't have to help. By the way, you can rest today. But Eleanor was already gathering the dirty plates. I'd like to help if it's no trouble. For the first time since his wife had died, Liam felt a slight easing of the weight on his shoulders. Perhaps he didn't have to carry everything alone. The first week was a true test of endurance. The quintuplets were, as Liam had warned, a challenge. They tested Eleanor constantly, ignoring her requests, dirtying what she'd just cleaned, and only speaking to her when absolutely necessary. Alfie was the ringleader, watching her with sharp eyes, just waiting for her to fail. Like the others, Daisy followed his lead. Her grief transformed into anger against anyone who tried to fill the mother-shaped void. Harry, quieter, was equally wary. Finn seemed willing to accept her, but was guided by his brothers. And sweet Lily. She wanted to trust but was terrified of being hurt again. Eleanor understood. Oh, how she understood. She had spent 12 years treading on eggshells, reading moods, anticipating needs before they turned into demands. Those survival skills born of abuse translated into the patience those children so desperately needed. She didn't push. She didn't demand affection or gratitude. She was just there. Every morning she made breakfast. Not perfectly. She burnt things at first too, but she kept trying. She packed their lunches, remembering Alfie hated mayonnaise, Daisy only ate strawberry jam, Harry wanted his bread cut diagonally, Finn liked extra juice, and Lily wanted her carrots with dip. She learned without asking, just by observing. When they returned from school, she didn't barrage them with questions. She simply left a snack ready and stayed nearby, doing small chores. Present but not intrusive. Slowly, so slowly she barely noticed they started to come around. It was Finn who broke the ice first. Eleanor was folding laundry in the living room when he appeared, holding a crumpled piece of paper. "Will you help me?" he asked, his voice quiet. "Of course. What do you need?" He showed her the paper, an art assignment from school. "It's to draw our family, but I don't know how to draw Mum anymore. I can't quite remember her face." Eleanor's heart broke. "May I see photos of her?" Finn led her to Liam's study, where a framed photo sat on the desk. A beautiful woman with warm eyes and a radiant smile, holding 5 newborn babies in colorful blankets. "She was beautiful," Eleanor said softly. "Your dad keeps her photo here to remember her while he works. That's love, Finn. Do you have photos of your mum?" Eleanor touched the locket at her neck, the only thing she had managed to keep. "Just one in here. She also died when I was young." "Have you forgotten what she looked like?" "Sometimes the details blur," Eleanor admitted, "but I never forgot how she made me feel. Safe, loved. That doesn't fade, even when faces do." Finn pondered that. Dad says Mum loved us more than anything. Even when she was ill and tired, she always read us stories. Eleanor's idea came as a relief. Then draw that, not just her face, but what she did. Draw the feeling of her reading to you. Finn's face lit up. He ran to the coffee table, and Eleanor sat nearby, folding laundry while he drew. He didn't ask for help with the strokes. He just wanted someone there, someone who understood that grief isn't something you overcome, but something you learn to carry. When Liam arrived home and saw the drawing, Mum reading to 5 small figures on the sofa, he had to leave the room. Eleanor found him on the porch, his shoulders shaking. "I couldn't help him with that," Liam said, his voice rough. "Every time they ask about her, I freeze. I don't know how to talk without falling apart." "You don't need to have all the answers," Eleanor said softly. "You just need to be present. You're doing better than you think." Liam looked at her, truly saw her, and for the first time wondered about the scars she carried. In 4 weeks, he knew nothing about her except that she had been hurt and needed help. But she demanded nothing, didn't ask for explanations about his grief or the chaos. She just, in silence, became part of the fabric of that small, broken family. "Thank you," he said, "for helping him." "They helped me too," Eleanor replied. And it was true. Those children, with their raw grief and honest emotions, were teaching her that it was allowed to feel, allowed to heal. By the 2nd month, Eleanor knew she couldn't stay at Liam's house indefinitely, only contributing with the children. The pressure on him, with the risk of losing his job due to his lateness, was immense. "I need to find a job," she told Liam one evening. He protested, saying her help was more than enough, but Eleanor was firm. "I spent 12 years financially dependent on someone who used it to control me. I need to stand on my own 2 feet. Liam understood. "What kind of work are you looking for?" "Anything. I'll start anywhere." She found a part-time job at a local bookshop, working while the children were at school. It wasn't much, but the wage was hers, her name on the check, her independence. The owner, an older woman named Brenda, looked at Eleanor and seemed to see right through her. "Are you running from something, love?" Brenda asked on the first day. Eleanor stiffened. "Why do you think that?" "Because I did the same thing 30 years ago. I know the look." Brenda handed her a pile of books to tidy. "Whatever you've run from, you're safe here. I don't ask questions and I don't judge." For the first time since leaving Marcus, Eleanor felt she could breathe at work. At home, progress with the children was slow but steady. After 9 weeks, only Lily still resisted. The toughest one, the fiercest guardian of her mother's memory. She hid photos when Eleanor entered the room and rejected any suggestion, making it clear she wasn't welcome. Eleanor didn't take it personally. She recognized that armor. She'd worn a similar one for years. The turning point came on a rainy Tuesday. Eleanor was in the kitchen when she heard crying coming from upstairs. She found Lily in her bedroom, tangled hair falling over a tear-streaked face, a broken brush in her hand. "I can't do it," she sobbed. "I can't fix it. Mummy always did it and now it's all wrong." The girl's long curly hair was a knot of frustration. Eleanor hesitated at the door. "May I try to help? You'll just make it worse." "Perhaps," Eleanor agreed, "but it can't get much more tangled than it already is." Lily let out a watery giggle, and Eleanor took it as a yes. She sat on the edge of the bed, and Lily reluctantly sat in front of her. "My mum used to brush my hair too," Eleanor said softly, undoing the knots with her fingers. Eleanor's voice was rusty from disuse, but she sang. A gentle lullaby, the same one her mum had sung a lifetime ago, as her hands moved with trained care, patient with each knot, never pulling hard. Slowly, Lily relaxed. "Did your mum have curly hair too?" the girl asked. "It did. She always used to say her hair had a mind of its own." "That's what my mum used to say." Lily turned to look at Eleanor, her eyes wide. "She said my hair was special. Strong, beautiful and wild, just like me." "Your mum was right." When Eleanor finished, Lily's hair fell in soft, tidy curls down her back. The little girl ran to the mirror, touching her own reflection with astonishment. "You made it just like Mum used to." "Your mum had good taste." Eleanor began to stand, but Lily suddenly turned and hugged her around the waist. The hug was fierce, desperate, a child's pain overflowing in a single gesture. Eleanor hugged her back, feeling her own tears roll, and let Lily cry for the mum she'd lost far too soon. "I miss her so much," Lily whispered. "I know, my love. I know." An hour later, when Liam went to check on them, he found them both sitting on the bed, Lily's head on Eleanor's shoulder, both silent but no longer alone in their grief. That evening, after the children were asleep, Liam and Eleanor sat in the living room with cups of tea. Those quiet moments after the chaos had become a routine. "I don't know what I'd do without you here," he admitted, his voice laden. "Things at work are complicated. My boss has already given me a warning about my lateness, and to make matters worse, Mrs. Higgins warned she might not be able to help with the children much longer." He paused, looking at her. "Lily hasn't let anyone touch her hair since her mum passed. She'd rather have knots than help from anyone who isn't her mother." "She's protecting her memory," Eleanor said. "I understand that." Liam studied her in the soft light. "You never talk about yourself. What are you running from?" Eleanor's hand instinctively brushed her wrist, where the bruises had almost faded, leaving only shadows of the violence she had endured. "I was married. My father actually gave me away in marriage. At 19, she said softly. For 12 years, I lived with a man who made me believe I deserved everything he did to me." Liam remained completely still. "I couldn't have children," Eleanor continued, the words gushing out now that she had started. "I was infertile, and my husband made sure I knew it was my fault, my failure. He said that since I couldn't give him the one thing he wanted, I owed him everything else. My time, my dreams, my body." Her voice faltered. "I finally fell pregnant. After 12 long years. I was ecstatic and terrified, barely believing it was real. I couldn't tell him immediately. I needed to be sure so I wouldn't disappoint him." Tears streamed down her face. "One evening, coming home from a party, he beat me, all because I smiled at one of his business partners who said I looked nice. A smile." She swallowed hard. "He said I was embarrassing him, flirting. I begged him to stop, but when he wouldn't listen, I told him about the baby. Weeks earlier than I'd wanted to, but I thought it would calm him down." Her breath hitched. "But he called me a liar, said I was trying to trap him. The next thing I remembered was waking up in a hospital bed, and they told me the baby was gone. That was the moment she broke. I'd known for a long time there was nothing left for me in that house, nothing safe, nothing with love. But I was terrified to leave. I had no money, no family, and he made sure I believed I wouldn't survive without him." Her voice trembled. "But after the baby, after he took that from me, something inside me snapped. I realized it wasn't just my happiness at stake anymore, it was my life, and I couldn't let him take that too. I owed it to the child I never met, and I owed it to myself. So I decided to leave." "My God," Liam whispered. "Our GP. was the only person who knew what he'd done to me all those years. It was she who helped me fake my death to escape. I fled here with the money she gave me, planning to start anew, but I was mugged on my first day. I lost everything. Eleanor met his gaze. And then you found me on that bench. Liam remained silent for a long moment. When he finally spoke, his voice was thick with emotion. I'm so sorry for all of it. You didn't deserve any of that. To make matters worse, I'm on a final warning at work because of the constant lateness, and Mrs. Higgins, the neighbor who was helping me, can't anymore. Your presence here was crucial. I used to think I deserved it, Eleanor admitted, but your children, they reminded me what unconditional love feels like. They love you not because you're perfect, but because you're present. You try. That's what I'd forgotten was possible. Liam reached out, taking her hand gently. Giving her time to pull away, she didn't. You're not alone anymore, he said. Not if you don't want to be. Something warm blossomed in Eleanor's chest, fragile and new but undeniably real. Hope, stronger this time. Months rolled on, and the house found its own rhythm. Eleanor didn't become a replacement mother, but something else entirely, a safe harbor the children could rely on. She learned to plait hair and break up arguments. She discovered a knack for helping with homework and making sandwiches that were, in fact, edible. The job at the Storyteller's Nook gave her a purpose beyond the home. The work was simple, yet deeply fulfilling. Organizing shelves, assisting customers, and learning the ropes of a small independent business. The children stopped calling her Mrs. Vance and began to simply call her Ellie, a nickname born of their genuine affection. She started a small garden in the back, something she had always wanted but Marcus had never allowed. The quintuplets helped her plant, getting their hands covered in soil, their laughter filling the air. And slowly, so slowly that neither of them fully recognized it, something began to grow between Eleanor and Liam. It was in the way Liam's eyes lingered on Eleanor when she laughed with the children, a softness in his expression he hadn't known existed. It was in the way Eleanor's heart quickened when Liam arrived home from work, and how she found herself listening for the sound of his car on the driveway. It was in the shared glances over breakfast that lasted a second too long, in the brush of hands whilst washing up, which sent a jolt through them both, in the evening conversations after the children were asleep, that stretched for hours, neither of them wanting to say goodnight. But the silence persisted. Liam told himself he was still healing, that Eleanor deserved time without pressure, that his children needed stability. Eleanor, in turn, convinced herself she was imagining things, that a man like Liam couldn't possibly see her in that way, that she needed to rebuild herself alone first. So, they lived in this careful balance, more than friends, but without naming what they were. A family united by choice and by feelings neither had the courage to admit. The first year passed, and quickly gave way to the second. Eleanor's confidence grew. Her nightmares became rare. She began to recognize herself in the mirror again, not the broken woman Marcus had created, but someone new, someone stronger. The children thrived. Alfie stopped testing her at every turn. Daisy sang whilst Eleanor brushed her hair. Harry showed her his schoolwork without being asked. Finn told her about his dreams. And Lily called her Ellie with the same affection she used for her dad. They had become a family, not by blood, but by choice, by being present every day, honoring the mother they had lost whilst making space for someone new. It was Lily who said it first on an ordinary Tuesday, whilst they were setting the table for dinner. Ellie, you're part of our family now, aren't you? Eleanor paused, plates in hand. I'd love to think so. Do you want me to be? The 5 children looked at each other, with that silent communication only siblings share. Then they nodded together. You're our Ellie, Daisy said with a firm certainty. That makes you family. Eleanor had to retreat to the bathroom to cry for a few minutes. Liam found her there, his own eyes suspiciously damp. They mean it. You know, you're not a nanny, someone just passing through, or even just a friend. You're part of us now. I know. That's what scares me. What if I ruin everything? Liam reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear, a gesture so tender that Eleanor's breath hitched. His hand lingered for a moment before pulling away. We're figuring this out together. he said, his voice huskier than usual. "None of us have the answers, but we have each other, and that's enough." Their eyes met, and for a moment, the air between them thrummed with everything left unsaid. Then Liam stepped back, clearing his throat. I should go check on dinner." Eleanor simply nodded, not trusting her own voice. The real turning point, however, came on an ordinary spring afternoon, almost 2 years after that November night when Liam found her on a park bench. Eleanor stopped by Liam's accountancy firm to drop off the lunch he'd forgotten. She'd taken the afternoon off from the bookshop and thought she'd surprise him. When she walked into the office, Liam was on the phone, but his face lit up at the sight of her. That genuine smile which crinkled the corners of his eyes and made her heart race in a way she'd been trying to ignore for months. Liam ended the call quickly. "You didn't have to do that. I know, but you've been working so hard lately with all that pressure not to lose your job. I thought you needed a break." Liam got up, walking around the desk. Now they were closer than necessary, and Eleanor could see the battle waged in his eyes, the same one that had been burning in her own heart for longer than she cared to admit. "Eleanor," Liam said softly. Something in the way he said her name made her breath catch. "I can't take it anymore." Fear shot through her. "Do what?" "Pretending." He ran a hand through his hair, a frantic gesture. "Pretending that my whole world doesn't shift when you walk into a room. Pretending I don't wait for the sound of your voice every morning. Pretending that seeing you with my children doesn't make me fall more in love every single day." Eleanor's heart hammered in her chest. You love me?" "How could I not?" Liam's voice broke. "You're the strongest person I know. You came into my life with nothing, broken by someone who should have cherished you, and yet you chose to love my children. You rebuilt yourself while helping us heal. You're beautiful and brave. And I love you too," Eleanor interrupted, her voice trembling. "I was so scared even to think it. Scared that by wanting something good it would be taken from me. Scared that you would never feel the same way about someone, so... No." Liam gently held her face, his thumbs wiping her tears. "Don't call yourself damaged. You're not broken, Eleanor. You never were. You survived. You're here. You are whole." "I was scared," she whispered. "For 2 years I felt it growing between us, and I was terrified to name it. Terrified to hope." "Me too," Liam admitted. "I told myself it was too soon, that you needed time, that I was selfish for feeling this. But Eleanor, in these 2 years, watching you rediscover yourself, watching you love my children, watching you build a life, I fell in love with every version of you. The frightened woman I found on that bench, the patient caregiver who won over 5 suspicious children, the independent woman who insisted on having her own job, the fierce survivor who faced her past, all of them." Eleanor's hands, now steady, pulled him closer. The tremor of fear had given way to the strength of certainty. "I can't promise I won't feel fear," she confessed, "or that I won't have bad days when the past resurfaces." "I don't need perfection," Liam said. "I just need you, exactly as you are, and I promise, what we have is real and it's safe." The kiss started softly, almost hesitantly, then it deepened. It was 2 years of held-back feelings, of careful distance and silent hope, all pouring into that instant. When they pulled apart, tears and smiles mingled on their faces. "What about the children?" Eleanor asked. "The truth," Liam replied. "That we love each other, and that doesn't change how much we love them." That night they gathered the quintuplets, now 8 years old and much smarter than they appeared. "We need to talk about something important," Liam began. 5 pairs of eyes stared at them. Lily and Alfie exchanged a knowing glance. "Finally?" Lily murmured. "What?" Liam blinked, confused. "You two have been making goo-goo eyes at each other forever. We thought you'd never get round to it." Eleanor's face grew warm. "You knew?" "Everyone knew," Harry said. "Mrs. Higgins said it was obvious 6 months ago. We even had a sweepstake," Finn added cheerfully. "And Lily won." Liam looked at Eleanor, who was torn between embarrassment and laughter. "So, you're okay with it? Me and your dad?" Daisy stood up, took Eleanor's hand and said, "Ellie, you've been ours for 2 years. Dad being happy with you just makes it official. We already said your family, Lily completed, her voice surprisingly soft. This just means Dad finally had the sense to see what we already knew. Which is? Liam asked. The five looked at each other and, in unison, turned to their dad and Eleanor. That you belong together, Alfie said simply, all 7 of us. But healing is never a straight line, and the past doesn't stay buried forever. 6 months later, Eleanor saw it, an online news story about Marcus. He was giving an interview for a charity event, speaking eloquently about supporting grieving spouses. His perfect smile plastered across the screen. Eleanor's hands trembled so much that her phone clattered to the floor. Liam found her in the bathroom, on the floor, hyperventilating. He's out there, living his perfect life, pretending to be a saint, while I'm supposed to be dead. Hey, ooh. Liam knelt beside her, careful. Breathe with me, in, out, you're safe. He killed our baby. He beat me for 12 years and the world thinks he's a hero. Liam guided her to the sofa and held her as she crumbled. When her crying subsided, he asked gently, "What do you want to do?" "What can I do? I'm dead, remember? If I surface, I admit I faked my death. I could be arrested." The mention of her vulnerability made Liam stiffen. With the pressure at work due to his constant lateness and Mrs. Higgins' help becoming uncertain, he couldn't risk losing her. "The doctor who helped you, does she still have the records?" he pressed. Eleanor looked up, hope and fear warring on her face. She said she kept everything, just in case. "Then you have proof." Liam's voice was a pillar of strength. "Proof of 12 years of abuse, of what he did to you, to your baby. Eleanor, you don't have to let him win anymore." "I'm scared, I know, but you're not alone this time." His voice was fierce. "You have me. You have the children. You have a whole life he can't touch. Mrs. Higgins saw you in that first week. You have people on your side." The next morning, Eleanor called the doctor. Arshad still had everything, an arsenal of proof. Photos of injuries documented over the years, medical records of the miscarriages, notes on the final beating that cost Eleanor her baby and almost her life. "I kept everything," she said. "I knew one day you might need it. He didn't deserve to get away with it." With Liam by her side and the solicitor the doctor recommended, Eleanor did the hardest thing in her life. She reported him. What followed was a storm. The media exploded, relentless. Eleanor Vance, previously presumed dead, resurfaces with shocking abuse allegations against prominent businessman Marcus Holloway. Marcus's response was predictable. Denials, accusations of mental instability, threats of legal action. But Eleanor didn't just have words. She had documented truth. 12 years of abuse in medical reports, photos, the doctor's testimony, and Mrs. Higgins' account of the terrified woman who appeared at Liam's house. Despite Liam's efforts to shield them, the quintuplets heard fragments of the story. The pressure on him was immense, with his job at risk due to his lateness and the growing tension at home. One evening, Alfie approached Eleanor in the kitchen. "The boys at school said you were married to a bad man, that he hurt you." Eleanor's heart froze. She knelt, meeting his gaze. "Yes, it's true." "Did he really hurt you?" "Yes." Alfie's young face became fierce. "If he comes here, I'll protect you. I'm strong now." Eleanor hugged him, tears streaming down her face. "You already protect me, my love. All of you do. You remind me every day what real love should be." Daisy appeared in the doorway, the other 3 right behind her. "You're the bravest person I know, Eleanor, more than any superhero." "We love you," Lily added simply. Harry solemnly agreed. "And we're going to stand by you." "Even if it's hard," Finn completed. And so, surrounded by 5 8-year-olds who claimed her as their own, Eleanor found the strength to see it through. The trial was an emotional bloodbath. Marcus used every dirty tactic, defamation, manipulation, his money and connections to paint Eleanor as a liar. But the evidence was irrefutable. Dr. Arshad's testimony was devastating. Mrs. Higgins described the terrified woman who arrived at Liam's house with nothing but the clothes on her back. And when the jury saw the photos, The bruised body, the broken ribs, the report detailing the miscarriage caused by assault. The truth became undeniable. Marcus Holloway was found guilty. Upon hearing the verdict, Eleanor felt no triumph, just exhausted relief. It was over. Liam waited outside the courthouse with the quintuplets, who insisted on coming. They ran to her, 5 bodies colliding in a group hug that almost knocked her over. "You did it!" Finn cheered. "He can't hurt you anymore," Harry said. "Can we go home now?" Lily asked. Home? Yes, they could go home. 6 months later, on a perfect autumn day, Eleanor stood in the garden she had planted with her 5 helpers. She wore a simple white dress, with flowers from her own garden in her hair. The quintuplets surrounded her, Alfie and Harry in little suits, Finn with the ring cushion, Daisy and Lily in lavender dresses. Liam waited for her under an arch they had all built together, looking at her as if she'd hung the stars in the sky. "Are you sure about this?" he had asked the night before. "A family of 7, just like that, it's a lot to take on." Eleanor laughed. "I knew the moment 5 children decided I was theirs." And now, as they exchanged their vows before a small group of friends and Mrs. Higgins, surrounded by Liam's colleagues, friends, and her new family, Eleanor felt a fullness she never imagined possible. When it was time to bring the rings, Finn paused. He looked deep into Eleanor's eyes. "Our mum would have liked you," he said with a disarming seriousness. "She would have wanted Dad to be happy again. And so do we." With a choked voice, Eleanor replied, "I'll never try to replace her, Finn, I promise." "We know," Daisy said, stepping closer. "You're not our mum. You're our Eleanor. It's different, but it's good." The ceremony continued amidst tears and laughter. And when Liam kissed his bride, the 5 children's cheer was so loud it echoed through the neighborhood. That night, with the celebration over and the children tucked into bed, Eleanor and Liam were alone in the garden beneath the stars. "Thank you," Eleanor whispered. "For what?" "For seeing me that night. For stopping. For offering me more than just a roof over my head. For giving me a family and for waiting 2 years, giving me time to heal before asking for anything." Liam pulled her closer. "You gave us the same, Eleanor, perhaps even more. You were my rock when my job was on the line and I thought I couldn't manage everything. You taught our children that it's possible to love again without forgetting. You taught me that being broken isn't the end, and you taught us that family isn't about blood or a signed piece of paper. It's about choosing each other every single day."